Hi, and welcome to another episode of Görgött. Today we're making, again, something from my childhood. Cinnamon buns, Swedish style. It was always a good day when you came home from school and your mom had made cinnamon buns. And even the day after, when some were left over, you could bring them to school. Good memories. And this is what it looked like. They might not be the most beautiful cinnamon buns in the world, but they sure taste like some of the best. So you should try this at home. So before we start baking, as always, don't forget to click subscribe. And obviously if you like the video, please also click like. There's also a bell you can click so that you get notifications when new content is put online. Now it's time to get baking and to look at the ingredients. Here we have the ingredients that we're going to need today. Start with the butter. You need 60 grams of melted butter for the dough and about another 80 grams for the filling. You need, for the filling as well, this is 160 grams of marzipan. You need some cardamom and cinnamon for the filling, and you need 2 egg yolks to paint the buns. And for the dough, you also need some milk, some flour, and some sourdough starter. The quantities are 500 grams of flour to 3.5 deciliters of milk and 100 grams of sourdough starter. Adding the 60 grams of melted butter I mentioned and 9 grams of salt. And that's your dough. And for the dough, you make it like basically any other sourdough. You mix the flour and the milk to do an autolyze process to hydrate the flour. You let that stand for a minimum of 20 minutes, but you can also let it stand a bit longer. Then you put it in the machine with the dough hook. You let it go for about 4 minutes on low speed. Then you add the 60 grams of melted butter and the 9 grams of salt, and you do another 4 minutes on medium speed. Once you're done with that, you take out the dough, put it in a container, and then you leave it there for 1 hour, and you do a stretch and fold every half hour. So after half an hour, you do stretch and fold, and then at the full hour, you do another stretch and fold, and then it goes into the fridge for 2 to 3 days, depending on what you want. I've had mine in now for 3 days. And now we're gonna basically roll out the dough, and then you have to make a mixture of the butter and the marzipan so that you can spread it then. It's good if the butter is a bit, well, at least room temperature. It doesn't have to be warm, but room temperature, so that it mixes well with the marzipan. And then you kind of just spread that out on the dough. And one thing I obviously forgot to mention, since marzipan is not sweet enough, we also need to add a bit of sugar. On top of that, you add a generous amount of cinnamon and probably an even more generous amount of cardamom. I find that you need quite a lot of cardamom for the taste to come through. But as you can see here, it's you do it. There's no clear measurements in grams of cinnamon and cardamom. You just have to kind of cover it like I'm doing here. And then you fold it up, or roll it up, like we're doing here. Dividing it up in equal pieces, cutting in twice to every piece, and then you just use this folding technique and put it on a baking tray. Then you leave it there for about half an hour. You put on, or you paint on with the egg yolk. You do it twice because it will be even glossier and nicer afterwards. So you go twice over it. I would start at one end, go till the end, and then restart at the beginning. Like that, the first layer kind of has a bit of time to dry. We put the oven to 200 degrees Celsius to preheat it. So that's the egging done. And now these beauties are going into the oven. Yeah, I know they're not beauties yet, but just you wait. For 20 minutes and then have a look. Maybe they need a little bit longer, but 20 minutes should do it. And then we'll get back once they're done. There are not many things nicer than actually waiting for cinnamon buns, because the smell spreads in the whole apartment. And it's a good smell. It's up there with frying onions. They're done. Look at these babies. They might not be the most beautiful ones, but they're gonna taste fantastic. So we'll just put them over here to cool down. And then once they're cool, we'll taste one. The buns have had time to cool. Now it's time to give it a taste. It might still be a little bit warm, but hey, that's when they're the best. The marzipan, when it's melted like that, it's just heaven. And it reminds me so much of my childhood. Not necessarily because of the marzipan, because my mom never used to put marzipan in them. That's a new addition, but she just put a lot more sugar than I have. But it's just fantastic, and it's quite easy to make. So give it a try. Swedish Cinnamon Buns. You can't go wrong. And if you stuck with me this far, I'm sure there was something you liked about the video. So please, don't forget to click the like button. I thank you for this time. Next we're making deep fat fried squid, Korean style. That's coming up in a couple of days. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.